भद्रं कर्णैभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let us now pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, thou abidest in all, thou art all, thou assumest all forms, thou art the self of all, thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. दैवी येषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते. This is a verse from 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and it translates that it is very difficult to get over or transcend this Maya. The Lord says this Maya comes from me, belongs to me, and it is very difficult to transcend that. Only those who take refuge in me, they can get over it. They can transcend it and get to their true abode. So, today's topic is very closely connected with this idea, escaping the snares or skipping the snares. And it is applicable to human beings, the creatures who have the capability to judge whether this is right or not right, and keep on learning from one's experience. It is like the picture you see there, those moths, they are rushing to the flame. They are attracted by the flame and rush to their destruction. They do not know that they are going to get destroyed. They have no capability of knowing and restraining. By instinct, by the auto-response, wherever they see this light, they are forced to rush for that. So, such lectures will not be of any use to them. It is for human beings who become conscious that we are getting trapped in the snares that are put all around us. They are everywhere, and we get caught in them, and thus suffer, get bound, and whatever happens as a consequence of that, all is because we are not able to skip those snares. These snares are spread all around. What is a snare? Where there is a deception that you are attracted, you are promised something, you feel that you are going to get very happy, you are going to make your life successful, means everything, that you will be in the ninth heaven by getting that, that's it. So you rush to get it. And then it is a trap. It is, you get caught in it. There are various types of snares usually used to catch animals, catch birds, by putting a net in such a way that the net will not be visible to those birds, but there would be grains or something that will attract the birds there. So the birds would come there, and when they are sitting on it and taking the grains, somebody sitting without being visible just picks up the net, and the poor things get caught and killed. So this is the snare. So we also get attracted in the world due to various things. It is something that is in us already. I mean, right from our birth, we experience these things, that things attract us. They promise us. Because of that, we get attracted. That, it will give me so much of happiness. Like the children, when they see some nice sweets or something they like, or these days that video games, when they see, their eyes get lit. You can see in their eyes that, what a wonderful thing it will be. And that is the moment, they get caught. And initially they don't feel that they are getting caught in it. But that is how one gets cheated. One of my friends told a nice story of how he got caught at Las Vegas in the gambling thing, So he had decided he is not going there for gambling at all. That was not the idea at all. He was just going to go there and see, and a nice place. And he got into a hotel which was very cheap. I mean, cheap means low cost. The hotel was great, but the cost was so low that he thought, wow, it's wonderful, that is almost free in this wonderful place. And then they have mentioned that the gambling, playing is not compulsory. It is just optional. So I am not going to play anyway, so it is no problem for me. And then he goes there. He describes it so in such a funny way that, and then all that ambience and the people and those who actually entice the people staying there, all that, he thought, anyway, I was going to spend so many dollars for my stay. I have saved that. So why should I not, just for fun, play a little bit, just not to lose more than what I have saved? That's the plan. The end result was he not only lost that, he lost whatever other money he had. Not only that, the addiction grows. He missed his flight. Because thought, no, let me get something. Next game seems to be very promising. I am going to recover everything that I have lost by this. And there are those, the people from the management that keep on encouraging you. Oh, you did great, it sometimes one loses, but try again. And so it is. So it is like that in this world. You feel that that is all that I want in life is this. I know many that I questioned that fellow, why you get into this? Swami, I have so much debt, and if I think of what I get from my job, I will never be able to get out of the debt. So I feel that one day I will hit a jackpot, and so I get into this, It is, but the debt only goes on mounting. He hasn't found a jackpot. So it is very important, friends, to notice this, that how we get attracted, we get caught, and then we blame those things, that why were they allowed to put such a thing, as if it is their fault. It is, after all, human beings put it there. It is not that they have been put there by God. No, it is human beings, we put such things there. So whom to blame, It is, we make the laws that allow them, and all that. So the point is, even if those things are banned, you will create them. It is, even if you remove this, that okay, these are to be banned by law, but then you will make a law that will allow something worse than that. So therefore, the basic thing is that we have to become stronger. We have to learn to escape these snares. They are all around. They will be there. And we have to be aware of that we are like people who are walking on the land where there are landmines. They cannot assume that there are no landmines. They have been trained to look for and then see the signs and then skip the landmines. So these snares are like landmines. You are walking amongst those, in those, and unless we are careful, we are going to get caught. And so in spiritual life, it becomes very, very important to learn this technique, because our freedom, our happiness just depends on that. If we do not practice these techniques of skipping these snares, the spiritual life or all the philosophy of that everything is Brahman and God is in our heart and all that will be only in the books or in our head. It will not get into our life unless we practically learn how to do that. It is very easy that people feel. This is again a very ingrained and very harmful human tendency, that it is these failures to overcome these snares, we blame that why these snares, God, why God put these things here. Well, the answer for that can be thought of, but it is you cannot question God. Basically, that being God, God is by the virtue of being God. Can God be answerable to you? God cannot be answerable to you. You can't. Otherwise, that is not God. If God is answerable to you, then you are God. That God has to be subservient to you. So you cannot question God. Why did you put these snares there? No, not possible. So, only what we can do is to look for the means that those also have been provided by God to escape these snares. The purpose, if we think ourselves, the purpose of these snares is to strengthen us, to make us more watchful. And thus we learn how to escape these. This becomes a part, a very important, indispensable part of one's spiritual life. And so we have to see how to do that. In Sri Ramakrishna's Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and in his sayings scattered in some other places, there are wonderful suggestions for that. And although some would debate that how it is possible, it is these arguments, how it is possible, I used to think that how riding a bicycle would be possible, because I fell while trying a few times. I could not keep the balance and I fell down and bruised so bad a few times that I decided that those who ride bicycle are people separately made by God. I can never do that. It is impossible for me. And I thank my dad that he wouldn't let me just stop. That what does it matter? No, you have to learn. See, so many children and all they do it. Why you cannot? Come on. So, and after some time, well, the bicycle became a part like of my body. It is. I was riding everywhere. So it became a kind of joy, pleasure when I got the hang of it. Wow. Then I would borrow we had only one bicycle at our home, and my dad used to take it to his work. So, but I would be waiting when he comes back, and then before he even notices, the bicycle and myself were gone. So it is, what I mean is that which we think impossible, it can be done using proper techniques and using them with determination. The most important element required for this is determination and confidence that yes, I will be able to do that. And what is the alternative if I am not able to do that? Do we want that alternative? That alternative is no escape from bondage and consequent suffering. Do we want that alternative? Any of you who want that? Yeah, I am here to remain eternally in bondage and in suffering. I don't want to get freedom. It is, I don't think anybody here, otherwise you wouldn't have even come here. So it is, we do not want this suffering. Nobody wants. And if we do not determine that we need to learn how to skip these snares, then no escape. And what should be done for that? I will read some part from these great teachings given by Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna, his teachings were never bookish. all very practical for people like us, I mean common people who get caught in these snares. It is, so first thing he mentions is one has to be, to understand that these are snares. Although they look pleasant, they are basically made pleasant, otherwise you won't get attracted towards it. Suppose you put a bait to catch the fish, something that fish does not like at all. Just put a piece of wood there and apply some fish repellent to it. Will the fish come there? No, it is something that is attractive. So, it is something attractive, and therefore one has to be determined. Yes, I will have to overcome this. So he says, those who wish to attain God or make progress in their devotional practices should particularly guard themselves against the snares of lust and wealth. Lust, every human being has to have lust in that person. It is, lust is a common thing that, in fact, without that, nobody would get even born. It is something that is ingrained in human beings. There would be lust. And that is because of the desire to unify with our true nature. But it is misplaced. That, if I have to get united with that person. It is lust that attracts a person. That it is actually an outcome of the innate divine unity. We are all one in God. But since we don't see it, that I feel I must get connected to that. And then when we suffer it is even by many, it is, then how? See, I am a man. Why God made women? It is foolish question, why God made women or why did God made things like that. It is, firstly, how would you be there without that? It is. So, it is not at all the proper way to approach it. It is important, therefore, to say that this is there. This situation is there. If we just close our eyes, that is not going to help us. It is, let us not pretend that, no, I am free from all lust. No, it is well, it is either you are a person who has attained the highest stage of spiritual realization, or you are so engrossed in it that you are even not able to see it. It is so that lust, and so whatever object that attracts us, that becomes the snare. Something that titillates our that sense of enjoyment. I want to enjoy this. And you are caught firstly by that feeling itself, that I want to enjoy this, and you are caught. First, internally you are already caught by this desire that I want to enjoy this. And therefore, Sri Ramakrishna says that particularly guard themselves, particularly guard. Sri Ramakrishna is using these words, remember, guard. A person of his stature who stayed in samadhi all the time didn't need to guard. He had no that idea of enjoying anything, because all joy was always felt by him within. No outside attraction ever bothered him. But he could see how we human beings respond to things and how we get caught. And therefore, he said, particularly guard. We should never lower the guard. As they say, when we lower the guard, the enemy seizes the opportunity. So, keep the guard up. Howsoever pleasant the things may appear, it is important that we should keep the guard up. And lust and wealth. Wealth, money. Money is just to fulfill all those attractive things. To get all those attractive things, you require money. There is no other purpose of money in our life. Get those attractions and thus do and get caught in them. Otherwise, people will never attain perfection. He quotes then from a discussion of Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya, Nitai and Nityananda. So they had Nityananda ask Chaitanya, why is it that all my teachings of divine love produces no tangible result on the minds of men? That I am giving all these wonderful teachings, but why do they not produce effect on the minds of people? Chaitanya replied, because due to their association with the objects of lust, men, women, they cannot retain the higher teachings. The higher teachings are understood here. Those teachings get understood, but they do not get retained. We read a nice book, we hear a wonderful lecture, and we meditate. For a little while those teachings seem to be with us, but cannot retain those teachings. It is like those who have some intestinal problems. So whatever they eat just rushes out. Nothing is retained. So whatever nutritious food is given to them is of no use unless that food gets retained, processed and absorbed by the system. So similarly, all these things get inside us. But because we can't retain them, they just get flushed out in no time. So it is Chaitanya therefore says further that, listen brother Nityananda, there is no salvation for the worldly minded. Worldly minded means running after the attractive things of the world. There is no freedom, no salvation for them. This is a clear teaching by Lord Chaitanya Deva. Then Sri Ramakrishna further says, when the mind is free from attachment to sense objects, it turns to God and is fixed on Him. It is something that one can easily try and experiment. That yes, when the mind is free from these objects, may not be permanently free, just to get the idea that when it is free from it, then it gets attracted to the higher truths of life. If it is not free from it, then it will not even turn towards those higher truths. It is always I and mine. Sri Ramakrishna therefore used to say, this I and mine is Maya, that power of nations which catches us all. So this is the I and mine. And nothing actually in truth is this. I am not this body, is the truth. And yet I call it I. And then whatever gets connected with this body, I call my. My house, my spouse, my children, my parents, they are really not mine. Do you understand Advaita? Yeah, good. Yeah, he is a very brilliant little child, but even he can understand this. This is very simple, that it is, none of that is mine. So, it is, if you say that it is mine, then you are stepping on the landmine. It is, yeah, it is, say something mine, and you are caught. It is, because actually the truth is nothing is mine. So Sri Ramakrishna continues that when one becomes free from attachment to these things, then the mind turns to God. Now we can understand why our mind does not turn to God. Because it runs to in other directions which are felt as more attractive. So it runs there. Sometimes it comes to us, and Sri Ramakrishna has mentioned that, although it is not in these quotes that I am giving today, that many times this attraction comes in a very nice, benevolent form, not apparently in the form of lust or greed, but in a much benevolent form. Looks as if it is so good, so noble, that I have to do my duty. I just am doing my duty. I am not getting attached to that. One has to see very carefully that is it really that I am so dutiful always, and that I do it for the sake of duty, or am I just changing the name? Changing the name. I tell you that story that government had promised as an election promise, that there was a disease rampant in one big city in India, Madras. It was known as Madras disease. And the government had promised that if they are elected, they will eradicate this disease. And they did it, that disease. Therefore, because it was in that city, it was known as Chennai disease, Madras disease, So they changed the name. They changed the name as soon as they came to power. Instead of Madras, the name of the city is changed. So no Madras disease. So it is the name changed to Chennai. So just by changing the name is not going to help. Because human beings are very intelligent. They are very intelligent in shooting in their own foot. Yeah. So when they know that it is not right, but the attachment is not letting them get away from it, they change the label, they change the name, call it duty. Or if I don't do it, what the other person is feeling. I have no need for it, I understand. But, my spouse will feel sad about that. This is as if we are so important. And we are so careful for not letting our spouse ever feel sad. It would have been a different story had it been like that, but it is not like that at all. It is, when I want to do something, I have to give a nice, noble sounding reason for that. And so I say, because I don't want to hurt them, I don't want to bring pain to them, it is like that. It is, we give nice names to these things. And we Americans are expert in that, that give nice name. Keep the bad thing, but then call it by nice name. So, it is, one has to be very careful. Sri Ramakrishna says that these things come in various forms. Those who have read Sigmund Freud mentions that how all these things which our conscience otherwise will not allow to come, what those attractions do, they come in a beautiful, nice form. It is, if you see, for example, if you see a man holding big gun and looks like, with a covered face and standing outside your door and rings the doorbell, and you see that fellow standing there, are you going to open the door? You will not. You will call 911. Hey, somebody, a robber is here. So, but somebody else comes, a business representative. I have come here to help you with your debts. I get all the time such calls. Many, I am sure you all must be getting too. That it is, yeah, we want to lower your debts for a very small fee, absolutely nothing actually, and you will get free of your debts. Or just give it a thought. We get ensnared by that. Many who have doubled their debts by getting caught in this, thinking, are these people really charitable people that they are spending so much money in advertising all these things to reduce your debts? It is not at all that. It is a snare. And it looks very attractive, very nice. You open the door, welcome that person. Oh, so good, you have come to reduce my debt. It is such wonderful, noble-minded, charitable people. They are needed for this world. Please come in. And then you may treat that person with snacks and coffee and all that, because you feel that it is very good. So, when the attractions come in such nice form, that, okay, no, I have to help the world. How can you help the world if you do not really know? If you do not know at all that what the world needs, you have your pet idea. Everybody has their pet idea of helping the world. They are so different. The Democrats and Republicans also don't agree. Even all being in America, they don't agree. What is helping the American people, let alone the American president and the North Korean president agree, you see, of what is good to the world. Impossible. No two human beings agree. That what is, and that particular person also thinks in the morning that this is good for the world. In the evening, the thoughts become different, that is good for the world. What is good for the world? You become unselfish, and that is going to do good to the world. I request you, it is a very big difficulty for many. They don't understand that this is a snare that is keeping them away from the goal of their life. Sri Ramakrishna in one conversation said that he was talking to one wealthy man and asked, well, Shambhu, what will you do? Well, I will start some schools and some hospitals, and Sri Ramakrishna said, all that is all right, but no, that is not the goal of life. God realization is the goal of life. If you can do these works as in the form of worship to God, then that is all right. Otherwise, you will get caught in those. Yes, people get caught in doing so-called good works. It is, they are not that they are bad works. It is better than, throwing bombs on people, agreed. It is, but these become then the snares. They cannot come out of it. It is, there are such wonderful stories, very illustrative stories of many such broad-minded, charitable people, but they got only that, and doing good to the world, according to whatever is their idea of good to the world. I suggest you people read Swami Vivekananda's great treatise. It's a very small book, but this point can be easily understood from that Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga. There are 2-3 chapters which really deal with this, that helping the world really helps myself. It is, what is the nature of duty? What is the duty? All these ideas are so beautiful in this small, maybe 100-page small book. They are so beautifully illustrated that one will then think thrice about what is good to the world after all. The world is, it is another snare that my whole life I will dedicate for helping the world. Sounds very noble, isn't it? Yes, certainly. But do you know what is good for the world? Ask a child, not our Advaita here, but still younger, that like yesterday there was a little baby here, 2-year-old. And then he was so eager to eat sweets, eating sweet. So if you ask him what is good to the world, that little baby will say that make the world full of sweets, and that will be good for the world. Ask a middle-aged diabetic, his answer would be completely different from that. So, it is, what is good to the world? Do we have really an answer for it? What is good to the world? Really, no. Realize the truth. Realize God in your heart. And that is the best thing you can do for the world. It is so. Otherwise, you get sucked in this very nice sounding snare of Maya. I will do good to the world. And first thing to do good to the world, I have to eliminate all those people who do bad to the world. So my idea of bad to the world, so it is, one gentleman here was telling, see, I can't stand those people unless I get rid of them from the world. There won't be any good to the world. So that is what I want to do first. It is, well, is that good going to do good to the world? So it is a very important thing to know. Sri Ramakrishna says, I will, because I am looking at the clock, I will skip a few things. It is, he says how attentive a person should be, and he gives a very telling analogy. I don't think, although in US many people have experienced this, but you can still imagine. He says, as persons living in a house infested with venomous snakes are always alert, so should people living in the world be always vigilant against the allurement of lust and greed. It is, they are all around like snakes, poisonous snakes. So, I don't know, here I have never seen anybody as such living in these urban locations with poisonous snakes. But forget snakes. Even if, say, there is a skunk entering the house, yes, it is so, one feels so difficult that this skunk, not those whose that gland is taken out, not those pet skunks, but or not the pet snakes either, whose fangs have been removed and they are well this thing, but otherwise you will be always vigilant, you on your guard that it is. So therefore one should be on guard. These snares are all around. But that doesn't mean that it is not possible to get rid of it. That one disciple asked him that how he was to conquer lust. For though he was passing his days in religious contemplation, evil thoughts were arising in his mind from time to time. And this is very important, very difficult. But one has to practice it. It hurts us when we read this, but that is the technique that has to be done. He gives an example. There was a man who had a pet dog. He used to caress it, carry it in his arms all about, play with it and kiss it. And then he was told about that dog and that do not be so attached to that. Be careful that you will get caught in that attraction for that dog. So he understood and therefore decided not to keep on playing with that dog anymore. But again, who gave him advice saw this man is again playing with the dog and all that. Did I not tell you that? And you agreed that you will. Yes, I understand. The problem is that the dog doesn't understand. It keeps on jumping on me. That is what happens, like I decide not to eat all these sweets and all that, but it keeps jumping on me, what can be done? So it is like that these things keep on jumping on us. They like the dog. So it is important that Sri Ramakrishna says, oh, you must let that dog know that this will not be liked anymore. So to make that dog learn, you have to beat that dog when it comes to you, jumps at you. Because that is the way they train the dogs, that when they do something right, give them treat. When they don't, in the dog training schools you can see that when they don't do right, then they are given this small stroke. So to make them understand, this is not tolerated, this is no more acceptable. And so the dog will gradually understand and will not jump at us. So whenever, because of the habit, we have put that habit into the dog. It is not fault of the dog. But now we have to, when these attractions jump on us, we have to give them some thrashing. Hey, don't jump at me. I am not going to caress you anymore. I did that mistake previously, no doubt. But, well, now I have learned better. I am not going to do that. This is a practice that Sri Ramakrishna prescribes. And we have to take up this practice even though it is not pleasant. But it will give us ultimately the joy because we will then be the masters. Slaves, they cannot really get joy. They get kicks all around. And only the joy is that this kick is less severe than the previous one. That is how the slaves, they keep on praising the masters. So that the masters will throw some better rewards at them. And no, we become slaves like that to all these objects. We should not do that. I will conclude by giving certain such teachings that how one gets caught in these snares. That it comes in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in the last 20 verses, which are known as the signs of a person established in wisdom. That it is a very practical advice. The question was asked by the disciple Arjuna, that what are the signs of a person established in wisdom? So, and the emphasis, he made it clear that how this person differs from the regular other person who is not established in wisdom, probably established in ignorance. How the life of the two differ, that this ignorant person walks on feet, is that person established in wisdom walks on his hands or walks on four? No. Now, what is the difference in the practical life? This man eats through the mouth. Does this person who is established in the wisdom eats from the nose? No, same. That is a story that is told about Indians, that American, Russian and Indian, they were in conversation. Who has the great achievements? Americans said that our planes fly so high, they almost touch the heaven. Oh, touch the heaven? Just an inch below heaven. The Russians said, our submarines go, and then in the ocean, they touch the ground there, the bottom of ocean. Oh, they go that deep, just an inch above that. Now, Indian didn't have anything to brag. So he said, we Indians eat from the nose. And from the nose? No, just an inch below. So, it is. So, it is, what is, joke apart, the point is that what is the difference between a person who is established in wisdom? How the day-to-day life differs. So, Sri Krishna said that exactly same thing that you do, an ignorant person does. This person also does similar things, similar only in appearance. The main thing is there is no desire in this person. And then the intent of Arjuna was, how can I follow then these signs? He says, look, the sense organs, they get attracted towards the sense objects, and they are very powerful. This verse says, the 60th verse in the second chapter, Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitah indriyani pramathini harante prasabham manah. The turbulent senses, O son of Kunti, forcibly lead astray the mind of even a person who is struggling to go beyond, because they are very powerful. So, next verse. So one has to make a concerted attempt at keeping them under control. When you tell them, hey, you are after all my senses. You cannot rule me. I am your ruler. So exercise that idea, that control. Controlling all senses, The self-controlled one should sit at meditating on God, meditating on me, he says. That when you meditate on God, that gives us the strength to control the senses, because that is the source of all strength. So, meditating on me, that will bring the strength to us to control these. And he says the one whose senses are under control like this, that person is established in wisdom. Then he proceeds to show how these snares, they are placed gradually. And this is these two verses which are very important, 62nd and 63rd, that I will read translations only for the sake of time, although the Sanskrit words are so beautiful, very difficult to give exact translations. For a person thinking of the sense objects, there grows an attachment for them. It begins with just a casual thinking about them. Those thoughts about these beautiful objects, they start making rounds. And at that time, even though there is a warning bell that is rung by the conscience, you don't pay attention to that. No, like that person, who said, no, I am not going to go there for gambling, you see. So the mind starts thinking about it and starts taking pleasure in those thoughts, as thinking that this is just thought, I am not going to follow those thoughts in action. It is just a pleasant sensation that I am getting. Why should I need to give it up? You dwell on those thoughts. Now what happens? That attachment develops. They become then the desires, that I want them. That from attachment arises desire. From desire results anger. One may wonder why from desire result anger. Because in this world the desired objects are just illusory. They appear and disappear. Nobody gets the happiness. It is always, like trying to chase the horizon. Okay, I will get to the horizon. Well, you cannot. How long, Advaita, would you have to run to catch the horizon? Forever, exactly, wise guy. It is forever. You can never catch horizon. And then the frustration sets in. Anger sets in because you cannot get it. Anger is just the reverse of this desire. Two sides of the same coin. It is like if you throw the ball at the wall, then the ball comes back because there is wall. It can't go beyond that. It comes back to you. And so anger comes. Then krodhat bhavati sammoha. What happens when one is angry? All rational faculty is gone. That is the immediate casualty of anger. You cannot think rationally. It is with anger such things happen, a TV gets smashed or whatever you see. In the anger, all irrational things keep on happening. You get deluded, what is right, what is not right, what should I do, what should I not do. The anger is a terrible enemy. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, and sammoha smriti vibhramaha. And that it is because of this clouding of the intellect, clouding of rational faculty. Now you forget what is the purpose of life, what you really had set out to do, everything is forgotten. Smriti Bhrangshat Buddhinasho. And then, because this faculty is gone, your the special human feature of being having this faculty of deciding right from the wrong, the conscience gets kicked out, and so you are really gone as a human being. So this is how it results if we are not very careful about warding off the snares. How it is to be done? As the opening verse said in Bhagavad Gita that I started with, that, well, hold on to God, that then only you will be able to cross over it. Be vigilant, but hold on to God. That is the way. So one should pray the prayer that Jesus taught. That one part that I like very much is, and do not lead us into temptations. It is a very important, very serious part of this prayer. Sometimes it is not paid enough attention, that do not lead us into temptation. So it is, although the temptations are all around, please see that we are not led into it. If it is a sincere prayer, we will see that we skip these snares. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell that if you feel the snare that a very beautiful woman has presented like that, the man gets ensnared. What is to be done? The same applies to women or whatever gender or this sexual orientation. Everywhere the principle is the same. That Sri Ramakrishna says, look upon that woman as an embodiment of Divine Mother. Think of that woman as the Divine Mother, and that will be protecting you. Whatever object of enjoyment that attracts us, it is, instead of feeling it as an object of enjoyment, let us learn to offer it to God. Let us learn that it is the manifestation of God, and that is the way we can skip these snares. Otherwise, there is hardly any hope, friends. So, let us pray very earnestly. Do not lead us into temptations. Thank you, friends. We shall meditate for 30 seconds or so, and then if you have any comments, questions, please feel free to ask. Yes. Yes, Ray.
When you were talking about the idea of people saying, what can I give to the world? In many cases, people that talk about giving to the world, they want to something that they will be noticed for, something that will actually kind of be...
That is very correct. Yeah.
Rather than, yet the sister claims is what Ramana Maharshi always said, the greatest gift you can give to the world is your own enlightenment.
Correct. Exactly, very correct statement. That otherwise we are fired by this ego, want to be recognized by the world, and maybe win elections or whatever you say. So it is like that. doing good to the world is not so easy. Like that book Karma Yoga that I was mentioning, that has God made the world in such a way that I and you will be able to fix it? Isn't it a terrible ego and a blasphemy? It is a blasphemy to think that God was not enough to fix it, so this Swami is going to fix it. It is terrible. The world as it is fine. It is made for our exercise. It is like the gymnasium. He calls this world like gymnasium. That here we don't come to change the world, but change ourselves, make us stronger. That is, all so-called charitable works are actually the opportunity for as exercise for us, so that we will be able to reduce ego by serving them, not helping. Another great teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, that when this idea of helping the world came in some Vaishnava scripture, he said, helping? Who are you to help the world? You yourself is an insignificant tiny worm, and you want to help the world? No, that should not be the attitude. But serve the world as embodiment of God. Serve the people as they are the embodiments of God. Serve them. So exactly, that's the very good thing. Yeah. Any other statement? Any other question? So, I will request Vishwanath to begin the offertory. Next Sunday, we will have a very important lecture by a wonderful speaker, Reverend Linda Forsberg. She is the pastor at the that Lutheran church in East Greenwich. She had given a very nice talk at our Universal Brotherhood Day, and a wonderful person. So she will be speaking next Sunday, same time at 5 p.m. The Sunday after that also, here still there is the March flyer. Where is the April one? There is March, before that there is February flyer, but no April. Oh, here it is. He gives, okay. I will put it here, okay? I should have checked it beforehand. That. And the Sunday after that, it is the birthday of Rama Navami. And we have another special lecture on that day by Swami Yogatmananda, the minister in charge at the Vivekananda Vedanta Society of Chicago. And after that, there will be a devotional music concert by a wonderful singer, Dattatreya Velankar, Pandit Dattatreya Velankar, coming from India. So that will be on 14th. On 7th, there will be this lecture of Linda Forsberg. The other programs during the week, Tuesday and Friday classes, that will go as usual at 7:30 p.m. The Tuesday topic is Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play. The Friday is Shvetashvatar Upanishad. So with this now, we will have the Arati. Closing prayer. How do I forget it always time? So you get a chance to remind me all the time. Okay. So it is a closing prayer, then Arati, and then you are all invited to join at the soup supper. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto us.